What is this? What does that mean to you?
Just a boxing glove to me. That once you put it on and you know how to use it, does a lot of damage to a lot of people.
Yeah. What does it mean in your heart to have a boxing glove in your hand?
At one time, it probably meant something, but now that I'm out of the game, you know, all the hand surgeries, it's not important to me anymore. It was something that I've done. It was my job. And being that it was my job, I retired.
Many times you create a bond with your tool.
Oh, absolutely.
The boxing glove is your tool. You use that to make a living.
Yeah, but the tool, I don't think it's a tool that someone would feel it once they put it on, because you don't take these home all the time. You know, I think that being in shape and fighting and achieving your goal of being in shape and doing things the right way with these on, I think that is when it means the most.
You come from an era where boxing was different.
Right, big time.
I remember, in the training in the gym was running, hitting the bag, hitting the mitts, sparring, jumping rope. Today, there's a lot of new technologies.
Absolutely.
They have strength and conditioning. They even have a psychologist, nutritionist, different, even weightlifting and things like that. Do you think that has made boxing a different sport than in your days?
I don't think it's a different sport. Back in my era, we did things the way it was supposed to be done. Now, this day and age, most people do things artificially with artificial intelligence. Most people do things different in boxing, training-wise. If I would have known running all those miles that I've done that I would need a total knee replacement, I would have never ran. This day and age, you use an elliptical. You get on an elliptical, you don't have the pounding on the joints, pounding on the knee, pounding on the hip. You know, we progressed. Boxing has progressed, and it's a good sport that people grow in.
Yeah. How did you get into boxing? I don't know if you remember the first day you walked into a boxing
gym. I remember
the
first day. Back in Pennsylvania, I was in Monessen, Pennsylvania. That's where I grew up. I was born in Brooklyn, but I grew up in Monessen, Pennsylvania, and across the river was a city called Charleroi. Charleroi was where my grandfather lived, and I used to go over there and cut his grass and do the garden and stuff like that. You know, I was the guy that did everything. So I would always, every time I finished the yard or the garden, he would always be gone. It'd be about 5:30, 6 o'clock. And I was like, where's Granddad? Oh, he went to the gym. And I didn't know nothing about the gym, you know. I was probably 9 years, 10. And so one day, I wanted to be with my grandfather. So one day, when I was I was cutting grass that day. I remember cutting grass, and I finished early because I didn't want him to be gone when I was finished. So I finished up quick and fast, and I remember he walked the yard with me. And, oh boy, you ain't finished yet. Come on, just let me go see. And he walked out there, and everything was cut. The grass was cut, everything looked good. And I got to go with him to the gym, and I was excited. And so I walked in the gym with him. He went in first, I went in second. There was a guy sparring to my left, and there was a guy hitting a heavy bag to my right. So I went in and I sat down with my grandfather. And I just was watching as he was giving commands out in the ring. And as soon as the guy finished on that bag, as I'm sitting here, he's finished on the bag, I got up and walked over and started hitting the heavy bag. Didn't have no gloves, didn't have no wraps on. I just went over and just started hitting. And my grandfather said he heard thumps. Thumps that sounded like I could do damage. And from then on, I was a facilitator of being around my grandfather and going to the gym. It was something that I did. I didn't know I would like it, but it was meant for me, I think, because I've accomplished so much and done so much and, you know, gave back to the community after so long. But I'm very grateful. I'm very grateful for my wonderful career I've had.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, now that you mentioned the heavy bag and all that, Chiquita Gonzalez from Mexico,
Oh, yeah.
he said that he created this bond with the equipment. That the speed bag was there all sad because, you know, nobody was. And when he got to the speed bag came alive.
Yeah, it was saying
because he
so.
was.
Yeah.
And then he named the speed bag. He put a name on it. He put a name to the heavy bag.
I'm going over to Tracy right here. I'm gonna beat her up a little bit. You know, yeah, oh yeah, I know how it is. Oh yeah.
You create now the gym comes like a second home, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, you live.
Just the camaraderie that you have with your trainers and there was 3 trainers, Jimmy George, my grandfather Henry Smith, and George Humphreys. Those 3 molded me. They did. I got some assistants. They were older. My grandfather wasn't the older one, but George Humphreys and Jimmy George were the older ones, but they still taught me something, you know.
In boxing, is there such a thing like a mentor?
I don't think there is. A mentor would be someone you look up to, someone who's going to guide you. That would be a trainer or a fighter that's been there before. I think that's my philosophy on it, my idea, yeah.
We're seeing 2 guys going at it, but we don't consider that you need to be intelligent. Do you need to be intelligent to fight?
Intelligent. Intelligence in boxing. Is that the right word, or is it something you've created in the gym that it becomes a habit? You form a habit by doing, you know, throwing punches and doing it the right way as you're training in the gym. And you go into the ring, it's the same thing, just on a higher platform.
And I'm asking because I've heard boxers say that boxer is very intelligent. You know, sometimes they spar together.
Right.
One is more intelligent than the other.
Right. Yeah, I know that. And it's about who's getting off first, who's landing the more devastating blows or whatever. I don't think it's based off of that. I think it's based off of other things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when you have a team, they're always with you in training. You know, this family that you create in your sporting life. But once the bell rings, you're alone.
Exactly right.
You walk.
You know what I relate this to? I relate boxing to having a job. Like we had a job. I started my job at 10 years old. I worked all the way up until I was 40. You know, that was a career. Normally, as you turn in your 20s and stuff, that's when you get a job. Then you get a salary, things like that. Every week, twice every year, maybe. You know, it's just different.
Yeah. Yeah. So when you walk and you're alone, you have to even though they told you what to do, you are the one that has to solve the problem.
Right.
And do you ever feel? Do you think boxing is a lonely sport in any way?
It is a lonely sport. What makes it a lonely sport is after you win or after you lose, you're by yourself. It's not everybody there supporting you. They may come in and say, oh, I'm sorry, blah, 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 blah. But everything's on you. The single person, the fighter, everything falls back on you, because now the question comes up, did I do the right thing? Did I do it the right way? You know, was I effective? Stuff like that. So it's really hard to judge people. But when you just don't have it, you just don't have it.
Yeah.
You just don't. And nothing can change that. As you can get in more training and stuff, it just doesn't change. Just leads up to other things and different things.
It's, you know, it's very easy to ask a boxer how it feels when they win, but not, you know, it's more difficult. It's another situation when they lose.
It's like, for example, when I lost my first fight with George Foreman, I lost the fight. Okay, it's over and done with. But what did I do is that I got by myself, and I did some analyzing, and, you know, I was ready for a rematch, but the rematch never happened. George was he's just different, just a different guy. He has experience, and he knew what to do.
Yeah.
Flat out.
Yeah, and you learn from.
Exactly. It's just that, like, after I fought him, I just went and I love to be by myself. I don't need an entourage. I don't get into that. You know, I'm a very humble, very, very, very humble guy. You know, I don't like to tell people what I do or what I did. You know, I'm just more laid back and low key. You know, until if someone disrespects me, then I'm gonna be angry. I'm gonna talk to them about it. I'm not gonna be angry. If it's deliberate, I'll talk to you about it. But if it's an accident, I say, hey, sorry about that, you know.
Yeah.
Just simple stuff.
What was your amateur record or your amateur career?
My amateur record was 48-16. The 16 losses were very controversial, you know, because back then I was on the United States boxing team, and I fought all the hard countries. I never went to Denmark, Sweden. Those were the easy countries back in the day. But I went to Russia. I went to Russia at 15. You know, USA versus, no, I'm sorry. It was USA versus Cuba.
Oh, I see.
So I went to Cuba. I was 15 years old, my first international bout. The Cuban team smashed us because they were grown men and we were kids. I was 15. I fought a 23-year-old guy, Victor Claudio. I think, was it Victor? I forget the name. But I was the only winner out of a 12-man team.
Really?
I was 15 and fought a 23-year-old man. And I had marks on my face, but I was the only winner. And I think that generated my career, because you fought the Cuban, he beat a Cuban, and I went on to beat a national champion, a Goodwill Games champion. Used to fight the Russians, Cubans, Germans, Koreans, all the time. All the time. Yeah. Because those were the better countries. And that when you're fighting the better countries, they want the best to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's been, I mean, go to amateur tournaments are tough.
Oh, yeah, they
because
are.
Because you have to fight several days.
Yep.
But you have to keep the weight.
Yep.
Right? I mean, it's in professional, you go, you fight, and then you can eat and do whatever you want.
Exactly right. Exactly.
But then in amateur, you win, you stay in the competition, but you have to not eat, and you have to still sacrifice some.
I remember my first United States boxing. What did I do? I was in Corpus Christi, Texas, maybe, and I fought in the nationals there. They had 3 rings going at the same time, and there were so many fighters back then, and I lost that one. I became the runner-up, and I lost to a guy. And then the next year, 85, I was a runner-up. 86, I won the nationals because I knew I got better. And just having international bouts and matches like that, I just gained ring generalship.
Yeah.
That's all.
That's what with several champions, you know, they many times they acknowledge their amateur careers because, for example, Golovkin, he had like 200 or 250 fights.
Yeah, that's too much.
So that, you know, that gives you, I don't know if it gives you an advantage or not, but
I think it wears you out. It does. You don't have the longevity. Just he should still be fighting Gennady Golovkin. I said it right, wrong, but he should be out there still fighting. But all the fights that he had as an amateur, it takes its toll. You know, you don't know punch. You know what I've always said about you don't know if he's punch drunk. Why? You know, I saw that Mr. Sulaimán is trying new gloves out. I think I had mentioned it to him. They need to change the size of the gloves because there's no retirement. There is nothing for boxers after they're done. So having all these blows to the head, you know, why not? If you want to make it safer, the 8-ounce gloves, they go up to 10. The 10-ounce gloves go up to 12. And incorporating a super heavyweight division, you got a bridger weight now. Go to a super heavyweight division. A super heavyweight division is going to lock a lot of shit down. And then you have a 14-ounce size glove because you're fighting bigger men. So why not increase the glove sizes?
Yeah.
You know, I just think that would be the best thing to do. You won't, because after you're done with boxing, there's no health insurance. And the WBC, no one knows. People don't know as much as they do for people. I respect that because having a WBC, a big company like that, taking care of fighters in need, that's phenomenal. Yeah. The only people that are doing it is the WBC. That's awesome.
Yes. Yeah, my father, he didn't care if you were WBC or any other.
No, you're right.
If you're a boxer,
I met him.
If you got in the ring, you deserve to have a decent life. You know, to have somewhere to fall back on.
That's right.
That was my father's concern because he saw everything. He saw all the abuse of boxers at the beginning, you know, in the 60s.
Yeah, I met your father several times. A great guy. I was with Emmanuel, so I met him several times. Great guy.
Yeah.
The Sulaimán family is just good people.
Thank you.
Good people. You're welcome. That's the truth. It's in your to help people. That comes from your heart, your soul. That's inner beauty. That's good people. That's what it's all about, being good people to each other.
Yeah, that's the way our parents brought us
up.
Yeah,
they've done a hell of a job.
And going back to the gloves, you know, I remember when I was younger, I always thought, you know, there should be, as there are medical studies for brain injury and all that, they should develop the material of the glove. Because in my head, I was thinking on not hurting the other guy. And it turns out that the glove and the bandages is to protect your hand.
That's right.
You can kick the living shit out of the other guy. But in my head, I had it backwards. I was thinking there should be a special foam or whatever to lessen the impact of the blows.
What they would have to do is this, because the 8-ounce glove is from back here all the way up to here.
Yeah.
you have to put the more padding here that's going to protect the hands and protect the boxer's head. So if you're putting more foam here to make it a more exciting fight, because the guys are not going to get hit, they'll get hit. And if you can punch, you'll knock the guy out. You know, it doesn't matter what the gloves are. It's just that boxing needs a super heavyweight division where the bridgerweight and the heavyweight go to super heavy. There's guys out there way bigger than 250 pounds. Oh, yeah. 251 on up should be super heavyweight. And if anyone was to do it, the WBC would be the ones to do it because they care about the fighters and their health, the health. Everybody else, I don't know where they are, how they're doing it, or they're not even giving support. I don't understand that. I don't understand. I had a WBO, IBF, and WBA. You never hear about, I don't hear about people going to the convention. Yeah, I had a WBC Intercontinental Americas title. And this is my first event, and I got a job. Wow, you know, that's phenomenal. To help the boxers that spend their money more intelligent and less reckless, you know, so I look forward to doing that because I got some good people that's on my team and my corner that can help me achieve that.
And to have somebody that has been there in the trenches that know all the details, what happens, how it feels, what happens afterwards. And then, well, going back to boxing, which was your hardest fight?
My hardest fight was all of them. And people say, why would you say that? Because every time I stepped through that rope, my life was on the line. There was always a chance that I can get hurt permanently or I can get killed. It happens. So every fight was a hard fight for me because whether I won or not, there was always that one chance of getting hit in the wrong place and succumbing to it.
Yeah. And when we see fights, you know, during the fight, we may see several punches to the button, you know, where you get knocked, but they don't get knocked out.
Yeah.
But then in one of them, the magic happens, you know, boom.
Right.
What I don't know. I think there's an explanation why sometimes you get hit and you don't go down, and then you do.
I think what it is that once you're in entanglement of fighting, you don't feel nothing. Once you got distance and someone hits you with a good shot, you're gonna go down. Like Foreman hit me at a distance and I went down, didn't get up. 9 times out of 10, that'll happen. You know, if it's a body shot, you gotta be in close. If it's a good shot on the outside, you gotta be at a distance.
Yeah. How does a knockout punch feel? When you give a knockout punch, how does it feel?
A knockout punch, when you're punching and you have the gloves on, you hit somebody and it feels like you're hitting cotton. That's a clean, flush shot. And I fought a guy, Vasily Girov, and I fought him. I was testing him like this because he's standing right in front of me, bouncing around. I was going like this, and then I just did this, just to see how he would react to it. And I said, oh, he's standing right there, and he's coming into it. So I said, bam, 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 went down. He tried to jump up quick, and he was all discombobulated. It was a sweet spot.
Yeah.
It was just like hitting, it feels like you're hitting water or you're coming on some soft tissue. It's a clean shot. It goes all the way to the knuckle. You feel it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is the greatest moment that you remember in the ring?
The greatest moment in the ring. The greatest moment was probably beating Evander Holyfield. And it was the greatest moment because of the people who were there. I had a great training camp. I had good people around me. I had a good team. And Teddy Atlas did a hell of a job. And I commend him on that because I was an asshole. There was many times I would fight him, not fist fight, but I would argue with him because I didn't want to do it. I didn't understand it. But once he explained and he told me about it and we went through it, I understood it. But I was more of a knucklehead, asshole, rude, ignorant, because why was I that way? Because to me, boxing at that time was different than it is now. Everybody you get all hyped up to do this and do that. It was all about making money for the manager or the promoter. It was all about them. It's not, we're fighting for a title. I'm the one getting in the ring. I'm only getting, it just doesn't make sense. Let's break this down. My era of boxing, my manager got 33 1/3%. My promoter got 25%. So that's 68 1/3% gone already. So then you have 10%. That goes on to the percentage. But the thing was, when I got the check would go to the manager. The manager would cash the check and give out the money. So when you give out the money, you cash the check, you don't pay taxes on the money that you're getting, the 33 1/3, the 25 and the 10. You're not getting taxed on that. I had to pay all that, which is some bullshit, and that should be criminal. And I know the guy, he was my manager, and doesn't even call me to this day. Mm-hmm. He made all that money off of me, but don't even call to see if I'm okay, how I'm doing. You need something, it was all about money. Yeah. It was people who were the boxers back in the day were the poor whites, poor Caucasian, poor brown, poor black. It was people that didn't have money, and that was to make money the quick way. But it was always a manager getting the most out of it. And the fighter would get nothing. Then they're the ones that turn broke, the fighters. Fortunately, I surrounded myself with some good people that teach me. And they taught me how to do things the right way, because I never knew business like that. I knew business from fighting, getting a check and getting less than 1/3 of the money I was supposed to get. Uh-huh. Yeah. Then you come in, you're the one that's in tax debt because they're taking all this money tax-free. I just don't understand how a manager, a promoter allows themselves to take that much money when they don't do shit. Mm-hmm. They do things, they make a phone call. They deal with the people over the phone.
When you mentioned Teddy Atlas, mm-hmm. You said something. You brought up something interesting. Did you always agree with what they tell you that you should do during the fight?
Oh no, that's why Teddy and I we would go back and forth because I was a stubborn ass. I didn't want to listen because I thought I knew it, but eventually, I get around to it. He got it to me, and we did things the right way. It was under no circumstance. It was in a bad way. Mm-hmm. It was just, me being an ass and him being the correct guy. Yeah. That's all. It was just being young.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Because many fighters listen and do 100% of what the corner is saying.
Yeah.
Others not. Because At the end of the day, you have to solve the fight.
That's right.
I mean, they're telling you, throw the jab, do this, that. But if that's not working, you have to solve it.
Yep, that's right.
'Cause-
And it's a job for the trainer to get you ready for a fight, and you got to be prepared for any and everything that's presented in front of you.
is the boxing life a life of sacrifice?
The boxing life is a lot of sacrifice. There's some sacrifices. You know, you lose time with your family.
Mm-hmm.
You lose time in doing things as a unit, as a team player. But then it's a rewarding thing because you go in there, you train hard, and you reap your benefits. You go out there and you win. Fortunately, you win, and things are prosperous after that.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, if you don't win, you don't train right, you half-ass doing it, you're not going to get the benefits from it as somebody who that does it and does it the right way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And what has boxing given you?
What has boxing given me? No one's ever asked me that question. Boxing has given me stature. Boxing has given me the ability to know how to fight. Boxing's given me some great, good friends, good people in my life. There's some bad as well. Boxing's given me overall, to sum it all up, boxing's been a benefit for me because it was something that I shined at. Being that I shined at, I was very into what I was doing and how to do it. So that's going to make me an all-around fighter.
Yeah.
That's my beliefs.
Yeah.
That was probably, yeah. I think that's an accurate answer for the question.
And has boxing taken away anything from your life?
Boxing has taken away trust. A lot of trust. Somebody who came to my house and spoke to my mother, it was my manager and my trainer, and then go out there and rob me blind and take advantage of me. That was just ignorant to do and be rude and disrespectful to my mother as well as being disrespectful to me. Because it was all, hey, I'm gonna give you this, I'm gonna give you that, and yeah, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that. But at the end, everything that they spend on me, I had to pay back. So that was still more money coming out of my purse. Training camps, the sparring partners, for the managers, the trainers, the sparring partners, for people coming in, I paid all that. I had to pay all that. That's supposed to be the manager's job. Mm-hmm. Those are sucker moves, and that's how back in the slave days they took advantage of their fighters. That's me analyzing things over the years. Mm-hmm. Back in the slave, obey my command. You don't talk to people like that. You know, it all boils down to being a good person or a bad person. That's what everything boils down to.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
If you're a good person or a bad person, I'm a very, 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 very honest person. I don't lie, and I'm gonna tell you how I want to tell you how I feel. And it's not being rude, ignorant, knowing this and knowing that. It's just that people have to hear the truth. And if you don't hear the truth, it's gonna be a facade for you.
Let's suppose there's an afterlife.
Okay.
If you were born again and given the chance, and if you knew your past life, would you be a boxer again?
I think like that. That's good you ask. I wouldn't have been a boxer. If I would have known as my past career, the things that would happen and the money turnout and stuff like that, I would have never done it. Nah. If coming back in life, if I was to do it, I'd be a airline, not an airline, but I'd be in the Air Force. I'd want to fly them planes and protect the country. That's what I like. I like to fly.
Yeah, and if something strange happened, I mean, like if you met yourself, your young self at 12-year-old, when you were walking in the gym for the first time, what would you say to your 7-year-old Michael?
Well, my 7-year-old Michael.
What would you say to yourself?
I would say
if it was like you doubled, and you went back in time, and
this isn't you. You get away from the sport. The sport is not doing it the right way. The only way that I see now is the WBC. They do so much for everybody. They do so much for the protection of fighters, protection of the game, protection of the sport. They do this like, it's incredible. You don't hear nothing from the other people, the other organizations. I hear nothing.
Yeah.
It's the truth. Maybe it's out there, I don't see it, but I see the green and gold all the time. Yeah. It's facts.
Yeah. And what has been your experience these days here in this convention with people?
The people here, the people on the board watching everybody, they get along, they're respectful. Hey champ, hey Michael, everyone gets along and they're out to do, what they're trying to do is they're trying to help the game of boxing. And everybody's in it for the best reason, to help others. And that's the WBC. That's what it is. World Boxing Council, I think the WBC should probably stand for something else because they do a lot of things. You guys, listen, they know how to do it because they have tutelage under their belts. People just take something and run with it because you're going to make money. Nah, it's not that way. It's not that way. You got to be in it for the fighters, be in it for the fans, be in it for the coaches. You got to be in it for everything, like the WBC does.
Yeah.
And I may be wrong that the other organizations maybe do the same thing. I don't know. But what I hear and what I see is the WBC. I'm not a liar. I don't say that just because I'm here. I hear and see what the WBC has done for fighters in need. And that goes a long, long, long way. You don't hear that from nobody else. Yeah. So my hats are off to the WBC. I would love to be having a job with the WBC because there's people who care. It's not about money for everybody. It's about helping that the WBC does. They help people. That's phenomenal.
Absolutely. WBC is not a business. They don't have money. The money that comes in the organization goes back
to the people. Yeah, I know that. I see it.
As simple as that.
And no one's greedy. That's what it all boils down to. Is no one's greedy. You're going to get paid doing the job that you're paid to do. Okay, once you do that, let's reap the benefits and we all go celebrate. That's what it's all about. That's family. I like that. I like that.